What's the difference between a synastry and a composite chart? In this quick video, I'm just going to go through and tell you what the difference is in a nutshell so that you don't have to listen to like any astrologers drone on and on and on about what it's like to have somebody's moon and somebody else's IC in a synastry and how relevant that is. Yes, all that stuff is very interesting. Actually, synastry is a lot of fun. It paints a lot of pictures for you. It shows you your sexual interests with each other. It shows you how you guys are going to vibe together on a daily basis based on where your placements fall into the other person's chart, because it's an overlay. Whereas the other chart is literally the two charts averaged together, okay? And your midpoint is found of each planet. And it's literally made a midpoint chart. It's a chart that's basically your relationship. The whole chart is your relationship with that person. So it's a relationship chart in itself. It's a whole third chart. Whereas the synastry chart is a third chart. However, what it is an overlay. It's just taking your two charts and putting them on top of each other so that you can see where certain things fall into the other person's house. The thing that I like about the composite chart is that it gives it more of a actual trajectory. So you're actually kind of getting a more of a vibe of where the relationship is going to go and how things are going to play out eventually in the relationship. Whereas with a synastry chart, you're seeing, you can get an idea where things are going to go. Don't get me wrong. You can see things that are just placed poorly. It's pretty much what synastry is about. It's going to show you things that are placed poorly and things that are placed nicely. Now, for example, my relationship with my husband, our synastry chart is beautiful. Our composite chart, not so beautiful. The relationship, we're married still, but you know, we have our days. And there's a lot of days that I look at that composite chart and I feel, you know, our Uranus opposition with Mercury, or I'll feel those oppositions or those, you know, certain things that play out in a composite chart. I feel like a composite chart gives you a lot more of a feel for the genuine trajectory, the genuine outcome. So when you're really wanting to know, how are we going to end up in love? Where are we going? Yes, it's lovely and it's nice to find out where each other's Venuses fall in the other person's houses, where the other person's Marses fall. You know, do they have any major planets falling in our 8th house? You know, which the house of sex? You know, the 7th house, the house of your relationship. What major planets fall there? You know, how does it? You know, it's. I feel like a synastry chart is more for an entertainment purposes in the beginning of a relationship that make you feel all those warm and fuzzies, whereas the composite is made up to give you a full trajectory and a full view of, it doesn't matter if it's your mother-in-law, your business partner, or your lover. So on that note, if it doesn't matter who it is, the warm and fuzzy feelings are not as relevant, then you really just want to see where things are going to pan out. Like, can we have a business relationship? Can the two of us get along? Can we see past our differences? Can we be friends? Can we work together? Can I trust this person with my finances? Very important question. And you're able to see things. For example, Pluto placements are incredibly important in a composite chart. Anything that's, you know, placed near the ascendant of the relationship chart is super relevant, so you want to be very keen on what those things are. I just feel as though that if you want an honest chart that's going to kind of delve a little deeper, I feel like the composite is going to get more right to it, and you're going to see your aspects and their placements pretty quickly, and you're going to get a general vibe for the relationship faster. A synastry read is a little lengthier and it's a little more fun and it's a little more exciting for people that are lovers. The composite, you want real answers, you're going to get it in your composite. So that's my take on the difference between a composite and a synastry chart. So it's up to you which one you choose to do. Whichever one you choose to do, I take bookings and I would love to help you on either one, because I feel that they both have their level of merit and their level of interest, and that people will find some enjoyability in hearing both of these charts out. Keep in mind that neither one of these charts should be read before you read individually both persons' charts. because you can gain a lot of insight and knowledge by reading into both parties' charts prior to even doing a composite or a synastry read. So it's super important that you place some time and energy into reading that person's chart, and as well as your chart, and just kind of reflecting on some of the aspects that both of you might have that might give you insight before even jumping into doing one of these composite or synastry charts. With that being said, I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope that you find, what you're looking for. Now I'm going to get into the other part of this video, which is what I wanted to talk about. Is my genuine experience with composites has been, more so than with synastries, but I did want to give you some heads up about looking into a personal chart, my 5 top things that kind of give me an indication that someone has a problematic chart, okay? There's certain placements that I feel that are very, very indicative of problematic relationships. And the first one that I want to mention would be heavy Neptune in someone's chart. And this is coming from a girl who's got heavy Neptune. I have no problem with being the first to tell you that it's problematic, because the person doesn't know if they love themselves, let alone if they know what love is, if they're ready for love, or what love is. They know they have a disillusionment that they're dealing with and that they have to battle, and they have a square that they have to work on, or an opposition that they have to work on, or several squares and oppositions they have to work on in order to get into a place to where they're ready to have a healthy relationship. And I feel like when somebody has heavy Neptune, it's just the number one indication that it's not a good time to have a relationship. Another placement that I see that is very scary for me is a Pluto in opposition with Venus. Pluto opposition Venus, you're dealing with some obsession in there and a little bit of difficulty with somebody coming to terms with closure when it comes to love. So you might find yourself a stalker very well, you might. So you kind of want to be aware of that placement and that kind of what it does and like what it's indicative of and how it might, ooze over into a relationship. My next one that I'm very cautious of is your moon in Scorpio. I don't even know how many times I could tell you that people have had just problematic issues with somebody with the moon in Scorpio, just because the level of intensity of emotions is on a high level at all times. There is no coming down for this person. They are always in a high level of an emotional state. So this is a difficult placement. There's a lot of people who might have a healthy balance, like a Libra sun, and then they balance very well their moon, and they manage to have maybe a Virgo ascendant or something, and they have these placements that a bunch of earth signs that help ground them out, and their intuitions and their possible manifestations of intuitions and what have you. But I just feel that a Scorpio moon is just a kind of a difficult placement to fall in love with and to feel secure in a relationship with, and it could be a great deal of ways. Another one that I seem to think is a difficult placement, and I just feel like this is kind of indicative of a lot of problems in many ways, is somebody with a Pluto opposite Saturn. I feel like that it's kind of a scary placement in the sense that someone is afraid of any kind of change, afraid of any kind of power struggles, or they don't know. It can play out to be an ugly scene, let's just put it that way. And it's kind of like one of those placements where if there's a loss for humanity, a loss for the understanding of humanity, because it's almost like that person feels like that they've been done wrong in such a bad way. They lose their human touch. Like, they literally have, like, no longer do they feel any ramifications of doing wrong. Like, at some point there, if you cross that person has no stopping point, you know, of how far they're going to go. So that's kind of a really scary placement in terms of love or getting into a relationship with someone, because there's always the chance that it can go wrong, and then you wonder, what is that person going to do when things go wrong? Well, and then I would say probably my next least favorite probably placement would probably likely be the first house Neptune. And the only reason why I say that is I feel like the first house Neptune person is just like the person who's got a lot of Neptune in their chart. They just can't seem to really, they can't seem to figure out themselves, and they pretty much absorb the emotions and mirror the emotions of the people that they interact with on a daily basis so much, and their level of self-worth and self-esteem is kind of difficult in this particular, you know, placement. It's problematic. So they don't have like the self-esteem or self-worth to have a healthy relationship, so to speak. But some of them can overcome that, just like in all the placements, there's overcoming it. So I always keep hope out there. I always give them a little level of hope